Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Dahlia El Gazzar from Dahlia Agency. We're going to talk about tech, digital agencies, and digital marketing. Enjoy my conversation with Dahlia. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast with today, the one and only, the person I've been waiting for months to be able to interview her, the specialist of tech, marketing, digital agency, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Dahlia El Gazzar from Dahlia Agency. She's the founder. She hates the title of CEO, but basically she's the boss. And she has tremendous experience. And I'm so glad you're taking the time. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be with you. From one eagle to another, by the way.
Right? The eagle has landed. Finally.
The eagles have finally landed. It's about time.
Yes, I agree with you. Now, before you were flying over the mountains all over the world, how did you get into this industry, Dahlia?
So it was actually, I was an accidental planner. And in one of my past lives, where I ended up in Egypt in the Red Sea at a resort, basically someone from, leadership came and said, hey, we need someone to plan a camel race with the Bedouins in the middle of the desert.
Of course.
And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So they're like, carte blanche, this is what you need to do. Just make money. I'm like, really? That's all I need to do. So fast forward, it was a January 1st type of event. I ended up negotiating with the hardest business dealers and owners in the world, which are the Bedouins, mind you, and had an amazing event with a camel race, the henna corner, the tea corner. About 500 plus people came out in the desert for the whole entire day. And I got addicted. I got addicted to bringing people together. I got addicted to making money. We have a saying in Arabic where it's like, I can make money just selling air in bottles. You just ask me what color you want. And then I got really, it is an addiction, but it's also the thrill of seeing something come together. Ended up back in the States and again, was asked to do PR with a spin of an event. So did a celebrity suitcase auction when Starwood and ITT Sheraton were getting together under, new management and putting their SPG, their Starwood Preferred Guest program together and stuff like that. Then I wanted to create something around the tech. And I had a lucky break where I was asked to interview with Pasky way back in the day. And that was my segue from hospitality, travel, PR, marketing, but almost from the back end because it was technology. That was a huge learning curve. I remember so well someone saying, oh, you're here? Welcome. You're going to ASAE annual next week and you have a panel discussion you need to put together for Sabre and BCD Travel and these guys and just make it look really good. So that it takes a special event prof. Once you're in it, you're in it. There's no way out. It's and people who know me, know I say this. It's like the song Hotel California. You can always check in, but you can never check out. And I always try to find ways where I am not checking out and that I don't want the great talent that we have in our industry checking out. And I have to tell you, the Corona coaster that we went through and the global pause, it truly was a test of time for that talent. Either they are in it or they're not. So I get to speak to wonderful eagles like you. I get to have mentors like you. And I get to create shit and ruckus, in the industry. And I love it. So it's all good.
That's awesome. I was just picturing you in a panel with digital tech agency or people in tech and everybody's sharing their story and how they start. And somebody would say, I started in the garage and I was programming my computer. And another one say, well, I had this mentor. And then you would go in a very serious phase. Well, I was organizing a camel race with Bedouins. Love the story.
Very different, that's for sure.
So Dahlia, we've known each other for many years, and one thing I admire with you is that first of all, you're always smiling, and I know that the life is not always to be smiled at some of the times, but you have this energy and ideas all the time. What is driving you from a day-to-day perspective, and especially what make you decide to start your own agency?
So the drive behind Dahlia Plus Agency started when, again, a past life when I was with On Peak in Chicago. And one of my great mentors, Michael Howe, who was the head of On Peak, when he saw that I was not giving my fullest and basically took me aside and he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I need to take the leap of faith. I need to start my own thing. And I was scared. I was scared to death. That timing was like so off. My husband was going through, and my story, like my husband's chronically ill. I have 2 amazing kids. He was going through brain surgery. They were young. And basically I was like, the single breadwinner. How help me? On Peak became my first client. And actually Passkey also became a client, which was yes. And then that was Dahlia Plus. The Dahlia Plus came from my observation that stakeholders within the industry had a lot of trouble telling their story, changing their narrative, and actually just having a conversation with each other on how technology can help them, how they can use, digital solutions for change, how can they change their internal teams. Mm-hmm. And I became, I became that liaison. I became the one who was able to take the conversation in layman's terms. Don't have to speak tech at you if you don't get it, help you and handhold your team until they get it and then watch them fly away, which is what makes me, that's my passion. My passion is I love to have our team work with those that just want to change, that want to do something better, that actually admit that they don't have the brainwidth or the talent internally to make it happen. And yet they don't want someone to take over because we know how we are. We're control freaks. We love our space. We're very protective. You don't want someone coming in and saying, oh, everything you've been doing is wrong. That doesn't work like that. So I've been lucky where I've had amazing partners. The Plus and Dahlia Plus actually was an idea of me working with other agencies and other partners, other experts that are smarter than me. I thought I would be like Google Plus back in the day and be that cool. But
with
Google
glasses?
Plus went away with the glasses. Google Plus went away, but Dahlia Plus is still here. So we're good. There you go. But, so that's basically what Dahlia Plus is about. We love to add on, team members that are just bringing new expertise, something that can add on to what people's needs are. And our industry is all about change. So you need that. You know that. You wrote the book.
Apparently, yes. So you have this drive, you have this courage to start your own business at a moment that is extremely difficult. And as you mentioned yourself, the situation is, ongoing difficult situation at home. And hopefully that will get better very soon. And the thing is, you also confronted with the roller coaster of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And you're a woman and you're a business owner. So for all the people out there that are listening, what can you share and what message did you have? What type of this is how I've done it and these are the challenge and keep doing it. What is the key messages you've learned that you would like to share?
Okay. So one, as an entrepreneur, you are going to try to take every single project that comes your way, and you're going to try to make it happen. And you're going to try to say, just this once, I will just take on as much as I can. Just this once. It'll get better. I will have time later. That is total BS. And I'm telling you right now, out of experience.
And BS is not business sense, right?
No, not really. No. Not in this episode. No, it's not, Eric. So this is where I say, align yourself to what lane you want to be in. And then the second lesson, lean really hard on others that can complement your lanes. If you're able to take certain projects, do so. If you want to take other projects just because you're curious how it goes, it's not about the money. It's about what you're going to learn from it. Do so, but don't do so alone. Lean hard on your tribe. So like the number one thing an entrepreneur should do, even before registering a name, is you create your circle of trust, your circle of support, and your circle of expertise. Think of those that will complement you in your energy, not necessarily in talent. There is no reason for you to work with someone toxic. Not anymore.
Hey.
Right? There is no reason for you to work with someone who will like just suck the energy out of you. And I'm saying that from a partner perspective, from a staff perspective, and from a client perspective. We've come, and this could be a woman thing. I think it's also for men. But it's like, this is the time where you have to protect your temple, your brain, everything, and your business more so now than ever. And this is where I say, it's a hard lesson to be learned. I know of amazing women that are going off on their own, creating agencies, creating like what they are all about. And I can do it all. And I'm like, but do you really want to? So I had this conversation with a very young entrepreneur at IMAX Frankfurt, like just a couple of weeks ago. Watched how she behaved. I've never known her before, but this is how the Dalai Lama works as well. I call myself the Dalai Lama. So where she's here, I watched how she pitched herself. I watched how she interacted in conversations. Then I watched her passion like skyrocket when she was talking about DEI. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then a couple of wines later on a rooftop in Frankfurt at a reception. And I'm like, so what's your passion? What do you want to be in? Oh, I'm known for Jill of all trades. I'm like, really? Tell me more. And then in the end, I just and I could be the wine talking, but it was really me. I said, I know what your brand is. And she's like, what? And I laid it out for her. I'm like, you're going to stick to this, not to this. And everybody that starts as an entrepreneur or in the events industry, they just want to please. Oh, I do logistics. Yeah, I can do that. I can do this. Eric, you need this done? I'll do that. But what happens is, what if you spread yourself too thin and your credibility within certain lanes that you're not really great about get out, and all of a sudden people are like, I don't want the Jill of all trades anymore. And then it gets lonely. It gets really lonely on top. And that I would not wish on anybody.
So you say you called yourself the Dahlia Lama.
The Dahlia Lama.
I shall address you by Your Highness as from now, or Your
Tell me
Holiness.
my
Sorry.
secret now, Eric.
When you say it's alone on top, I just want to dig a little bit deeper on that one, because especially if you're coming from a large environment, whether it's large association, large corporation, you have a lot of people around you every day. You have a staff, you have assistants, etc. And then it's you. Mm-hmm. It's you in the morning talking with the CEO of your future customer organization, and in the afternoon going to buy some water at the supermarket because there's none left in the house. When you are in that situation, and especially today, after what you said, rightly so, that the COVID part and the hard part of being on your own, how do you cope with that in terms of the physical aspect of being alone to start with, and also being alone to make decisions, to make recommendations, and to organize the work?
You create your circle of support. And the way to do that, and I've been blessed, I've been lucky. I've been, I have always had people that give me support, give me advice, give me energy. I thrive on that. I thrive on the energy, and I give it back. And so, I have created a circle of support, especially with other women in the industry, women that are in event tech. So women in event tech is a strong community. Like, we lean on each other hard. One owner out of Canada, life has been very tough, and she slacks me and she's like, I need to talk. I'm like, call, it's going to come back tenfold. That's the thing too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just make sure that you are, if you need to vent for the reason of venting, say so. If you are asking for support to make a decision, say so that it's not spinning in wheels. Because what you also want to do is, when you tap into your circle of support, they're there, they know what this engagement's going to be like, and then there's closure. And then open it for them to do the same with you. That is always a must. But decisions to go get water from a supermarket versus decisions as a CEO versus decisions as a mom, as a wife, etc. I think you need some sort of almost contact list or favorites by category. I think we've come to a point where, and it's probably the same with you, where you have business, mentors or advisors that you sort of tell them your personal stories too.
Absolutely.
So, and that's okay. It's okay if it's already defined that way. There are some people that are not comfortable with that emotional connection. If you're sharing with them family stories or so forth. But I think we're really lucky that when you find support within our industry, I think I need someone to prove me wrong. I don't think that there's any other industry, Eric, where we show up and we see each other and we're kissing and hugging and holding on to each other and saying, I love you, like our industry. Have you ever seen that in a doctor conference? Do they say I love you to each other? I don't think so.
Well, I don't think so either, but I'm not a doctor.
Well, you're the doctor of business. But what I'm saying is, I think we're lucky because we're really emotionally charged as well. And I think that lends itself to creating that support system.
Absolutely. I can only concur with that, since I was a student with ISEC, student business, and in this organization, we had advisors, board of advisors. And that's always what I've been doing, regardless of the type of business that I was in, is creating a group, to your point, creating a group of people that want good for me, that I can be totally transparent and share my questions, my fears, my ideas, and have an honest feedback. Now, at the end of the day, you're the one making the decision and holding responsibility for it, but you're not alone in that case. Absolutely. Yeah. So in all the things that you've created, one, I really enjoyed going there, is the tech zone when you go to a conference. How did the idea come about, and how does that evolve over the years now?
So the tech zone came up as an idea because we wanted to make sure that professionals are always ahead of the curve when it comes to technology, and when it comes to apps and your favorite Evernote, which is my favorite Evernote, but like apps like that, that you can embrace as new habits or to understand more about, you always need someone to facilitate the discussion, you go and you meet these tech companies, but then they do their infomercials and then you come up and you're like, I don't understand what the hell they just said right now. They just threw API and blockchain and tokenization at me. And what is it?
That sounds so familiar to me, actually.
I know. I gave you that one. I gave that to you. So this is where, we want people to feel comfortable with asking the right questions, checking out new technology, seeing how it's going to work for them or not even work for them. And then we're there to help them with that conversation. Fast forward, the tech zone is now turning into some sort of playground, a conversation and playground like combination. And we don't necessarily only do it for industry events anymore. We do that across different industries, different sectors, because like, for example, AVMA, if they come across and they say, can you facilitate or manage a tech zone for us? Yeah, sure. It's the same thing. You're there to make them just more comfortable with it. And it's a value add. It's a value add for the attendees. It's a value add for the tech companies. A lot of times they send wallflowers or reps that don't know how to talk otherwise than say API, tokenization, and blockchain, and then just confuse people, So our ultimate dream is to always have a playground where people are able to play with tech, ask the questions, wrinkle their nose and say, you know what, blockchain's not for me right now. And that's fine, but at least they understand what they're saying. Now, Evernote will always be for everybody. I'm just letting you know right now.
No bias there.
No, not at all.
So Dahlia, you've started also a podcast with Michelle and Liz.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's webisodes. We're on webisode 6, I believe, this week. It's every Thursday at 9:30 Eastern. And the reason why it started was everybody just wanted to be a fly on the wall when we got together to talk about stuff. It's called Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius. And, we just want to just go past the shit or talk about what is going on in people's minds. Last week, we had one webisode and the chat was on fire. It was so funny. And one of the people that were in the chat, they're like, oh my God, this is like us taking bad coffee at a conference at the end of the hall and just taking a corner and just chatting. And I'm like, that's exactly it. The ultimate thing about these webisodes is we're always curating topics that our audience want to hear more about. So they wanted to hear how IMAX went, how could it be different, all of that. Attendee engagement, anything that keeps them up, and so I need to do better. But the genius part of it is we either have a lifeline, so we have someone step in if we can't answer questions or if we need a different perspective. So we bring in someone as a lifeline. But the real geniuses is the audience. They're the geniuses because we can say whatever the hell we want. They come up with the solutions for each other. So cue the genius because they're already there. They don't know it yet, but they need just a little bit of validation.
It's awesome. What are your advice for somebody who's now starting their own business? What do they need in terms of app, in terms of technology?
That's a hard one. In terms of app or technology, if someone is starting their own business right now, from the get-go, have a project management platform that helps you map things out. It will help you map things out in the sense of time-wise, map out how much time it's going to take. Add in Clockify if you need to, for time management with your team. I would say make sure that you have one spot. So my team, because they know how crazy I am, have one spot for me where it's called Dahlia's Fire Hose Ideas. You will have a fire hose of ideas. Just make sure it's like either call it whatever you want, fire hose, parking lot, whatever. But just make sure that you have a spot for that. Evernote, Google Doc, whatever you want, but it's there. Never let go of the ideas that you have. And then ultimately, I would say start with some sort of CRM solution so that you don't regret it later, that you're not using your inbox as your CRM. Yep. Even though I will say Mail Tracker right now is a plugin on Google Business or Google Email. So you can easily and automatically track who's opened your emails if they forward it to someone. But now you can actually send, I believe, up to 200. It acts like your CRM, but you can send up to 200 like same email UCC, but you'd know who opened it. So I would say those three things. There's a lot of others, website and stuff, but those are the three things.
And in terms of CRM, because I always say to people, you need to keep track of who you're contacting, who you're talking to. What are some ideas, recommendations in terms of CRM that people should be? And I know there's not one size fit all, but if you can give some names that you would recommend people look into it before deciding which one they want to get on board with.
So it's not even one size fits all. It's a matter of budget. And a lot of people try to cut corners. Obviously, you have like HubSpot, which is one. Hey, you can even use MailChimp as your CRM if you want. But it's truly on like how you're setting it up. What fields are you tracking, et cetera. So there's so many out there right now. It really depends on what you want to use it for. The sooner you can get someone to like take a look at what your workflows are, like your proposals, your estimates, all of that, you will easily see what CRMs are in that marketplace.
Yeah.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is something that someone should look at it for you, not you doing it, because you will always overthink it. That's another entrepreneur thing. You overthink things and you always have scope creep because you didn't assess the project the right way at the first time.
Scope creep. Can you explain that?
So when someone asks you for a project and you put a scope of work together, but they keep asking you for more stuff. And then it just is like, it's out of scope. You're afraid to ask for more money, or you're afraid to say, oh, your time's up. You ask for 40 hours a month. You're actually bleeding me at 65 emails a day. Sorry, but not sorry. I actually came up to an idea with my team. I'm like, what if a client actually emails us more than 20 times a day? Can we charge per email? I thought it was brilliant. But,
to get them to think before sending an email.
Is that right? So we're at a point right now where, scope creep is a real thing. The other thing is you have to understand, going back to protecting your bubble and your team's bubble as well, and wellness, is clients are churning. They're just working overtime. They're thinking overtime, and they'll come to you with all these half thoughts, or they'll come to you with like unbaked ideas. That takes mental effort from your team and from yourself. So you just have to be careful with that.
Very good advice. Excellent.
Yeah.
We were talking before, pushing the record button about all those buzzwords in our industry and what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was very sarcastically mentioning that today we have change makers that have pivoted from the previous. Okay, and in a very serious manner. Obviously, people need to shift and change and be good with change. But what's your take on it? And also this word that you were mentioning, shivoting. Shivoting. Thank you, Habibi. Come on, let me know.
You're welcome, Habibi. Shivoting came out because P was like an ugly word. Everybody was using it, but like, then it went from pivot to pirouette because people were just going around in circles. And like, seriously, shivoting is my word of shift and pivot in one. There's so many buzzwords right now. So the word change makers, I will stick to because it includes action, but it's also, it needs to be intentional. You can't work on someone to be a change. You can't be a change maker or work with people that say, oh, I want to change, but don't have the intention to.
Right.
So I'll stick to that one. But the thing that I found is for the last couple of years, and this is not because of the global pause that we went through. It was actually before, but I see it now where I almost feel like in our industry, we haven't learned any lessons. We're still doing the same as we do. Now, you have those that have changed. That I'm not talking about those people or event profs, but I'm talking about as if we don't want to change. There's some of us that just don't want to change. Their intention is just to flow through until maybe retirement or to flow through because they're designing for themselves. They're not designing for a changing audience. A lot of people's audiences don't live where they live anymore. That's why databases are flawed. They are not in the mental space they were in anymore. They're taking care of family. They're taking care of priorities. And you're asking them to travel to you. You're asking them to put them in front of a screen for 8 hours a day, and you want them to change for you, not the opposite. Right?
Is it like people taking their private jet to go to a conference, discuss environmental issues?
That kind of thing. So it's also role playing, right? It's like you want to set a role model or an example of some kind. So why would you sit in front of, why would you design a program for 8 hours online if you can't even sit through Cobra Kai, which is 22 and a half minutes an episode? Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off for 3 seasons. So, so this is where I question, why are you doing what you're doing? How well do you know your team internally that can pull off the other ugly word, the H word, hybrid, and, and an audience that maybe don't want to have a conference face-to-face with you. So you pull the digital away from them because what told you so? The hard work of the team that was creating digital events that wanted to be face-to-face.
So we need to pivot to hybrid. I'm just kidding.
No, yes. To be a true change maker, Eric, yes, you do.
Yeah, right. It's always coming back to me to the same thing. What are you trying to achieve? What is the type of audience and how you're going to measure success and design something that would be something that you want to be part of? That, that's the first test instead of imposing that.
Yeah, I would take that statement and flip it like a little. What is it? What's in it for them?
Yeah.
What are they trying to achieve? Why are you giving them a panel of the same old speakers that they've seen for the last 7 years? Is it because the speakers are for free? Then guess what? They're going to pull an Etsy on you and then they're going to retaliate. Did you hear about Etsy, where all the content, where all the designers sort of went on strike on Etsy because...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard about it.
So they went on strike because they thought they were taken advantage of. So I look at that. I look at the content creator economy that we have. And then we're now connoisseurs. You and I are content connoisseurs. If it's a medical show, if it's, even if it's accredited education, what do I want from my next workshop? Do I want the same old speakers, or do I want someone who's going to make me future resilient and smarter in the end of 45 minutes.
Yep. And how's this applying to my business? When I go to a 3 days conference with 2 sessions of 90 minutes of education, and the rest, well, basically the rest, I'm there to help the organizer make their money on sponsor. Or to your point, I mean, free speakers, but come on, Dahlia, we're going to give you exposure.
Oh, yes. I've been offered that so many times. So many times. That's the other thing for brand new entrepreneurs. Please don't take that bait. Like, honestly, just respect your intellectual property, which is your brainwidth and your expertise, and just say no. It truly is as easy as that. Nobody can guarantee you business unless they are guaranteeing you leads as a speaker.
Awesome. I could listen to you for hours. Unfortunately, the format doesn't allow this too much. Or maybe one day I'll do something like Joe Rogan and we can speak for 2.5 hours. I'd love to do that. Dahlia, my last question today, and actually I have 2 last questions, but my really last question here when it comes to what you're doing. What do you see that has changed now that everything is reopened, that we finally stop asking for the test before coming back to the US? Because I have a lot of friends who decide not to come this summer because of that. But what do you see has changed really that you're looking forward to in the next month?
So I'll tell you what's really changed, which is really heartwarming, is the amount of people that have created relationships by cyber stalking others on social media. And then when they see each other for the first time face to face, and they do that whole like squeaky squealing, like, you know, jumping up and down like little kids at recess, and then the hugging and thing. I would love to bottle that up and have it be forever, you know, and that is a common thread that should be infused in any type of experience that we create. That the next time I see you at IMAX, you know, Las Vegas, that we see each other in the hallway and we're already screaming, "Oh my God, it's you," you know, kind of thing. And then we can exchange cigars and stuff later. But that's one thing that I would love to see. The other thing that I would love to see is, or that I see that I would love more of, is the space given to those that are either mentally challenged or those that all of a sudden became introverts, have anxiety, are not able to experience the shows and events as we do. Mm-hmm. And that there's a designed area for them. And that there's like actually people that can hold their hands and introduce them to certain people that they know. So it's almost like a matchmaking, but made with a person, not an AI app.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm raising my hand. I want to be that person.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then my last question, and again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course.
How do people get in touch with you?
So Dahlia at DahliaPlus.com, 617-470-2655. You can call me or text me.
Oh, really? I think you're the first person who's giving their cell phone like this. Wow.
You should text me. If you get my voicemail, it will say, "Do not leave a voicemail, leave a joke." But if you text me, I will get back to you for sure.
But I'm going to call you and leave a joke then.
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Dahlia.
Thank you, Habib.
Thank you, Dahlia, for sharing all your great insights. Absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn or join the Facebook group, www.eventbusinessformula.com/group. And if you like this conversation with Dahlia, please share it with your network. Thank you.